Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where you are in the world. May God bless you. This is Gloria White and Annie Dog coming to you from Utah, USA. Today I'm going to read another group of chapters for 2 Esdras. But I want to also tell you that I am reading 2 Esdras chapter by chapter for those of you who enjoy the shorter videos. But I am reading this book. I am devouring the Word of God. And so this is why I have 2 Esdras chapters 1 through 4 and 2 Esdras chapters 5 through 7. And today will be chapters 8 through whatever I can get through in about 45 to 50 minutes. So I encourage you to choose your option, either chapter by chapter or many chapters at once. And they'll all be there in my video list for your enjoyment. Excuse me. And so here we are in chapter 8. And here's the summary of what's within this chapter. It says in verse 1, many created but few saved. In verse 6, he asketh God, destroyeth his own work? Verse 26, and prayeth God to look upon the people which only serve him. In verse 41, God answereth that all seed cometh not to God. And verse 52, and that glory is prepared for him, and such like. So, here we are in the 1611 version of the Holy Bible, King James Holy Bible, and chapter 8. And he answered me, saying, now this is Uriel speaking on behalf of God, answering Esdras' questions. And Esdras is actually Ezra. Ezra. E-Z-R-A. So now he says, and he answered me, saying, the Most High hath made this world for many, but the world to come for few. I will tell thee a similitude, Esdras, as when thou askest the earth, it shall say unto thee, that it giveth much mold thereof, whereof earthen vessels are made, but little dust that gold cometh. Even so is your course of this present world. So you can mold a lot of, clay pots and water bottles and things like that of the earth, but there's just a small amount of dust that cometh from the earth. There be many created, but few shall be saved. So answered I and said, swallow down, O my soul, understanding, and devour wisdom. For thou hast agreed to give ear, and art willing to prophesy, for thou hast no longer space than only to live. O Lord, if thou suffer not thy servant, that we may pray before thee, and thou give us seed unto our heart, and culture to our understanding, that there may come fruit of it. How shall each man live that is corrupt, who beareth the place of a man? For thou art alone, and we all one workmanship of thine hands, like as thou hast said. And when the body is fashioned now in the mother's womb, and thou giveth it members, thy creature is preserved in fire and water, and 9 months doeth thy workmanship endure thy creature, which is created in her. It's talking about little babies in the womb. But that which keepeth and is kept shall both be preserved. And when the time cometh, the womb preserveth, delivereth up the things that grew in it. For thou hast commanded out of the parts of the body, that is to say, out of the breast milk be given, which is the fruit of the breast, that the thing which is fashioned may be nourished for a time, till thou disposest it to thy mercy. Thou broughtest it up with thy righteousness, and nourisheth it in thy law, and reformeth it with thy judgments. And thou shalt mortify it as thy creature, and quicken it as thy work. If therefore thou shalt destroy him with which so great labor was fashioned, it is an easy thing to be ordained by thy commandment, that the thing which was made might be preserved. Now therefore, Lord, I will speak touching man in general, thou knowest best. But touching thy people, for whose sake I am sorry, and for thy inheritance, for whose cause I mourn, and for Israel, for whom I am heavy, and for Jacob, for whose sake I am troubled. Therefore will I begin to pray before thee for myself and for them. For I see the fallacies of us that they dwell in the land, the failures of us that dwell in the land. But I have heard the swiftness of the judge which is to come. Therefore hear my voice and understand my words, and I shall speak before thee. This is the beginning of the words of Esdras, before he was taken up. And I said, O Lord, thou that dwellest in everlastingness, which beholdeth from above things in the heaven and in the air, whose throne is inestimable, whose glory may not be comprehended, before whom the host of angels stand with trembling, whose service is conservant, it's C-O-N-V-E-R-S-A-N-T. It's conversant. Oh, whose service is conversant in fire and wind, whose word is true and sayings constant, whose commandment is strong and ordinance fearful, whose look drieth up the depths, and indignation maketh the mountains to melt away, which the truth witnesseth. O hear the prayer of thy servant, and give ear to the petition of thy creature. For while I live I will speak, and so long as I have understanding I will answer. O look not upon the sins of thy people, but on them which serve thee in truth. Regard not the wicked intentions of the heathen, but the desire of those that keepeth thy testimonies in afflictions. Think not upon those that have walked faintly before thee, but remember them which according to thy will have known thy fear. Let it not be thy will to destroy them which have lived like beasts, but to look upon them that have clearly taught thy law. Take thou no indignation as them which are deemed worse than beasts, but love them that always put their trust in thy righteousness and glory. For we and our fathers do languish of such diseases, but because of us sinners thou shalt be called merciful. For if thou hast a desire to have mercy upon us, thou shalt be called merciful to us, namely, that have no works of righteousness. For the just which have many good works laid up with thee shall out of their own deeds receive reward. For what is man that thou shouldest take displeasure at him? Or what is a corruptible generation that thou shouldest be so bitter toward it? For in truth there is no man among them that be born, and he hath dealt wickedly, but he hath dealt wickedly, and among the faithful faithful, there is none which hath not done amiss. Excuse me, let me read that verse again, verse 35. For in truth there is no man among them that be born, but he hath dealt wickedly. And among the faithful there is none which hath not done amiss. For in this, O Lord, thy righteousness and thy goodness shall be declared, if thou be merciful unto them which have not the confidence of good works. Then answereth he me, and said, some things which thou spoken aright, and according unto thy works it shall be. For indeed I will not think on the disposition of them which have sinned before death, before judgment, before destruction. But I will rejoice over the disposition of the righteous, and I will remember also their pilgrimage, and the salvation and the reward that they shall have. Like as I have spoken now, so shall it come to pass. For as the husbandman soweth much seed upon the ground, and planteth many trees, and yet the thing that is sown good in his season cometh not up, neither doeth all that is planted take root, even so is it of them that are sown in the world. They shall not all be saved. I answered him and said, if I have found grace, let me speak. Like as the husbandman's seed perisheth, if it come not up, and receive not the rain in due season, or if there come too much rain and corrupt it, even so perisheth man also, which is formed with thy hands, and is called thine own image, because thou art like unto him, for whose sake thou hast made all things, and likened him unto the husbandman's seed. Be not wroth with us, but spare thy people, and have mercy upon thine own inheritance, for thou art merciful unto thy creation, or creature. Then answered he me, and said, things present are for the present, and things to come for such as be to come. For thou comest far short, that thou shouldest be able to love my creature more than I. But I have oft times drawn nigh unto thee, and unto it, but never to the unrighteous. In this also thou art marvelous before the Most High, in that thou hast humbled thyself as it becometh thee, and hast not judged thyself worthy to be much glorified among the righteous. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. But understand thou for thyself, and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. For unto you is paradise opened, the tree of life is planted, and the time to come is prepared. Plenteous is made ready, a city is builded, and rest is allowed. Yea, perfect goodness and wisdom. The root of evil is sealed up from you. Weaknesses, and the moth is hidden from you, and corruption is fled into hell to be forgotten. Sorrows are past, and in the end is shown the treasure of immortality. And therefore ask thou no more questions concerning the multitude of them that perish. But when they had taken liberty, they despised the Most High, thought scorn of his law, and forsook his ways. Moreover, they have trodden down his righteous, and said in their heart that there is no God, yea, and that knowing they must die. For as the things aforesaid shall receive you, so thirst and pain are prepared for them. For it is not his will that men should come to naught, but they which be created have defiled the name of him that made them, and were unthankful unto him which prepared life for them. And therefore is my judgment now at hand. These things have I not shown unto all men, but unto thee, and a few like thee. Then answered I and said, Behold, O Lord, now hast thou showed me the multitude of the wonders which thou wilt begin to do in the last times, but at what time thou hast not shown me. Chapter 9, the summary, verse 7. Who shall be saved and who not? Verse 19. All the world is now corrupted. Verse 22. Yet God doeth save a few. Verse 33. He complaineth that those perish which keepeth God's law. Verse 38. And seeth a woman lamenting in a field. All right. Chapter 9. He answered me then and saith, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time, wherein the Highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and vapors of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, even so the times also of the Highest have plain beginnings and wonders and powerful works, and endings and effects and signs. And every one that shall be saved shall be able to escape by his works, and by faith, whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. Then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. For such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me, and they that have loathed my law, while they had yet liberty, and when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it. The same must know it after death by pain. And therefore be thou not curious how the ungodly shall be punished, and when, but inquire how the righteous shall be saved, whose the world is, and for whom the world is created. Then answered I and said, I have said before, and now do speak, and will speak it also hereafter, that there be many more of them which perish than of them which shall be saved. Like as a wave is greater than a drop. And he answered me, saying, Like as the field is, so is also the seed. As the flowers be, such are the colors also. Such as the workman is, such also is the work. And as the husbandman is himself, so is his husbandry also. For it was the same, for it was the time of the world. And now when I prepared the world, which was not yet made, even for them to dwell in, that now live, no man spake against me. For then every one obeyed, But now the manners of them which are created in this world that is made are corrupted by perpetual seed, and by a law which is unsearchable rid themselves. So I considered the world, and behold, there was peril, because of the devices that were come into it. And I saw and spared it greatly, and have kept me a grape of the cluster, and a plant of a great people. Let the multitude perish then, which was born in vain, and let my grape be kept in my plant, for with great labor have I made it perfect. Nevertheless, if thou wilt cease yet 7 days more, but thou shalt not fast in them. But go into the field, a field of flowers, where no house is builded, and eat only the flowers of the field. Taste no flesh, drink no wine, but eat it flowers only. And pray unto the high continually. Then will I come and talk with thee. So I went my way into the field, which is called Ardath, like as he commanded me. And there I sat amongst the flowers, and did eat of the herbs of the field, and meat of the same satisfied me. After 7 days I sat upon the grass, and my heart was vexed within me, like as before. And I opened my mouth, and began to talk before the Most High, and said, O Lord, thou that showest thyself unto us, thou wast shown unto our fathers in the wilderness, in a place where no man treadeth, in a barren place when they came out of Egypt. And thou spakest, saying, Hear me, O Israel, and mark my words, thou seed of Jacob. For behold, I sow my law in you, and it shall bring fruit in you, and ye shall be honored in it forever. But our fathers, which received the law, kept it not, and observed not thy ordinances. And though the fruit of thy law did not perish, neither could it, for it was thine. Yet they received it. Yet they that received it perished, because they kept not the thing that was sown in them. And lo, it is custom, when the ground hath received seed, or the sea a ship, or any vessel, meat or drink, that being perished wherein it was sown, or cast into, that thing also which was sown or cast therein, or received, doth perish, and remaineth not with us. But with us it hath not happened so. For we that have received the law perished by sin, and our heart also which received it. Notwithstanding the law perisheth not, but remaineth in his force. And when I spake these things in my heart, I looked back with mine eyes, and upon the right side I saw a woman, and behold, she mourned and wept with a loud voice, and was much grieved in her heart. And her clothes were rent, and she had ashes upon her head. Then let I my thoughts go that I was in, and turned me unto her, and said unto her, Wherefore weepest thou? Why art thou so grieved in thy mind? And she said unto me, Sir, let me alone, that I may bewail myself, and add unto my sorrow, for I am sore vexed in my mind, and brought very low. And I said unto her, What aileth thee? Tell me. She said unto me, I thy servant hath been barren, and had no child, though I had an husband 30 years. And those 30 years I did nothing else day and night, and every hour, but make my prayer to God, to the highest. After 30 years, God heard me, thine handmaid, looked upon my misery, considered my trouble, and gave me a son. And I was very glad of him. So was my husband also, and all my neighbors, and we gave great honor unto the Almighty. And I nourished him with great travail. So when he grew up, and came to the time that he should have a wife, I made a feast. Chapter 10 Summary. He comforted the woman in the field. Verse 17. She vanished away, and a city appeared in her place. Verse 40. The angel declareth these visions in the field. Chapter 10. Excuse me, one second. Chapter 10. And it so came to pass that when my son was entered into his wedding chamber, he fell down and died. Then we all overthrew the lights, and all my neighbors rose up to comfort me. So I took my rest unto the second day at night. And it came to pass, when they had all left off to comfort me, to the end that I might be quiet, then rose I up by night and fled, and came hither into this field, as thou seest. And I do now propose not to return into the city, but here to stay, and neither to eat nor drink, but continually to mourn and to fast until I die. Then left I the meditations wherein I was, and spake to her in anger, saying, Thou foolish woman, above all other, seest thou not our mourning, and what happeneth unto us? How that Zion our mother is full of all heaviness, and much humbled, mourning very sore? And now seeing we all mourn and are sad, for we are all in heaviness, art thou grieved for one son? For ask the earth, and she shall tell thee that it is she which ought to mourn for the fall of many that groan upon her. For out of her came all at the first, and out of her shall all others come. And behold, they walk almost all into destruction, and a multitude of them is utterly rooted out. Who then should make more mourning than she that hath lost so great a multitude, and not thou which art sorry, but for me, but for one? Who then should make more mourning than she that hath lost so great a multitude, and not thou which art sorry, but for one? But if thou sayest unto me, My lamentation is not like the earth's, because I have lost the fruit of my womb, which I brought forth with pains, and bare with sorrows. But the earth not so, for the multitude present in it, according to the course of the earth, is gone as it came. Then say I unto thee, like as thou hast brought forth with labor, even so the earth also hath given her fruit, namely man, ever since the beginning, unto him that made her. Now therefore keep thy sorrow to thyself, and bear with a good courage that which hath befallen thee. For if thou shalt acknowledge the determination of God to be just, thou shalt both receive thy son in time, and shall be commended amongst women. Go thy way then into the city, go to thy husband. And she said unto me, That will I not do. I will not go into the city, but here will I die. So I proceeded to speak further unto her, and said, Do not so, but be counseled by me. For how many are the adversaries of Zion? Be comforted in regard of the sorrows of Jerusalem. For thou seest that our sanctuary is laid waste, our altar broken down, our temple destroyed. Our palfrey is laid on the ground, our song is put to silence, our rejoicing is at an end. The light of our candlestick is put out, the ark of our covenant is spoiled. Our holy things are defiled, and the name that is called upon us is almost profaned. Our children are put to shame, our priests are burnt, our Levites are gone into captivity, our virgins are defiled, and our wines ravished, our righteous men carried away, our little ones destroyed, our young men are brought in bondage, and our strong men are become weak. And which is the greatest of all? The seal of Zion has now lost her honor, for is she delivered into the hands of them that hate us? And therefore shake off thy great heaviness, and put away the multitude of sorrows, that the mighty may be merciful unto thee again. And the highest shall give thee rest, and ease from thy labor. And it came to pass, while I was talking with her, behold, her face upon a sudden shined exceedingly, and her countenance glittered, so that I was afraid of her, and mused what it might be. And behold, suddenly she made a great cry, very fearful, so that the earth shook at the noise of the woman. And I looked, and behold, the woman appeared unto me no more, but there was a city builded, and a large place showed itself from the foundations. Then was I afraid, and cried with a loud voice, and said, Where is Uriel the angel, who came unto me at the first? For he hath caused me to fall into many trances, and mine end is turned into corruption, and my prayer to rebuke. And as I was speaking these words, behold, he came unto me, and looked upon me, and lo, I lay as one that had been dead, and mine understanding was taken from me. And he took me by the right hand, and comforted me, and set me upon my feet, and said unto me, What aileth thee? And why art thou so disquieted? And why is thine understanding troubled, and the thoughts of thine heart? And I said, Because thou hast forsaken me, and yet I did according to thy words, and I went into the field, and lo, I have seen, and yet see, that I am not able to express. And he said unto me, Stand up manfully, and I will advise thee. Then said I, Speak on, my Lord, in me, only forsake me not, lest I die frustrate of my hope. For I have seen that I knew not, and heard that I knew not, and that I do not know. Or is my sense deceived, or my soul in a dream? Now therefore I beseech thee, that thou wilt show thy servant of this vision. He answered me then and said, Hear me, and I shall inform thee, and tell thee whereof thou art afraid. For the highest will reveal many secret things unto thee. He has seen that thy way is right, for that thou sorrowest continually for thy people, and maketh great lamentation for Zion. This therefore is the meaning of the vision which thou lately sawest. Thou sawest a woman mourning, and thou begest to comfort her. But now seest thou the likeness of the woman no more, but there appeared unto thee a city builded. And whereas she told thee of the death of her son, this is the solution. This woman whom thou saw is Zion, and whereas she said unto thee, even she whom thou seest as a city builded. Whereas I say, she said unto thee, that thou hast been 30 years barren, Those are the 30 years wherein there was no offering made in her. But after 30 years, Solomon builded the city and offered offerings, and then bare the barren a son. And when she was told, and whereas she told thee that she nourished him with labor, that was the dwelling in Jerusalem. But whereas she said unto thee that thy son coming into his marriage chamber happened to have a fall and died, this was the destruction that came to Jerusalem. And behold, thou sawest her likeness, and because she mourned for her son, thou began to comfort her. And of these things which have chanced, these are to be opened unto thee. For now the Most High seeth that thou art grieved unfeignedly, and suffereth from the whole heart for her. So hath he showed thee the brightness of her glory, and the comeliness of her beauty. And therefore I beg thee remain in the field, where no house was builded. For I knew that the highest would show this unto thee. Therefore I commanded thee to go into the field, where no foundation of any building was. For the place wherein the highest beginneth to show his city, there can no man's build to be able to stand. And therefore fear not, let not thy heart be affrighted, but go thy way in, and see the beauty and greatness of the building, as much as thine eyes be able to see. And then shalt thou hear as much as thine ears may comprehend. For thou art blessed above many other, and art called with the highest, and so are but few. But to mourn at night thou shalt remain here. And so shall the highest show thee visions of the high things, which the Most High will do unto them that dwell upon earth in the last days. So I slept that night, and another, like as he commanded me. Chapter, let's see, how far are we? Okay. Chapter, looks like 11. There's sometimes misprints. Okay, chapter 11. And here's the preview. Verse 1. He seeth in his dreams an eagle coming out of the sea. Verse 37. And a lion out of a wood talking to the eagle. Chapter 11. Then saw I a dream, and behold, there came up from the sea an eagle, which had 12 feathers, red wings, and 3 heads. And I saw, and behold, she spread her wings over all the earth, and all the winds of the air blew on her, and were gathered together. And I beheld, and out of her feathers there grew other contrary feathers, and they became little feathers and small. But her heads were at rest. The head in the middlest was greatest, then the other yet rested it with the residue. Moreover I beheld, and lo, the eagle flew with her feathers, and reigned upon the earth, and over them that dwelled therein. And I saw that all things under heaven were subject unto her, and no man spake against her, no, not one creature upon earth. And I beheld, and lo, the eagle rose upon her talents, and spake to her feathers, and saying, Watch not all at once, sleep every one in his own place, and watch by course. But let the heads be preserved for the last. And I beheld, and lo, the voice went out of her heads, but from the middlest of her body. And I numbered her contrary feathers, and behold, there were 8 of them. And I looked, and behold, on the right side there arose 1 feather, and reigned over all the earth. And so it was, that when it rained, the end of it came, and the place thereof appeared no more. So the next following stood up and reigned, and had a great time. And it happened that when it rained, the end of it came also, like as the first, so that it appeared no more. Then came there a voice unto it, and said, Hear, thou that hast borne rule over the earth so long, this I say unto thee, before thou beginnest to appear no more, there shall none after thee attain unto thy time, neither unto the half thereof. Then arose the third, and reigned as the other before, and appeared no more also. So went it with all the residue, one after another, as that every one reigned, and then appeared no more. Then I beheld, and lo, in process of time, the feathers that followed stood up upon the right side, that they might rule also, and some of them ruled, but within a while they appeared no more. For some of them were set up, but ruled not. After this I looked, and behold, the 12 feathers appeared no more, nor the 2 little feathers. And there was no more upon the eagle's body, but 3 heads that rested, and 6 little wings. Then saw I also that 2 little feathers divided themselves from the 6, and remained under the head that was upon the right side, for the 4 continued in their place. And I beheld, and lo, the feathers that were under the wing thought to set up themselves, and to have the rule. And I beheld, and lo, there was one set up, but shortly it appeared no more. The second was sooner away than the first. And I beheld, and lo, the 2 that remained thought also in themselves to reign. And when they so thought, behold, they were awaked one of the heads that were at rest, namely it was in the middle, for that was greater than the 2 other heads. And then I saw that the 2 other heads were joined with it. And behold, the head was turned with them that were in it, and did eat up the 2 feathers under the wing that would have reigned. But this head put the whole earth in fear, and bare rule in it over all those that dwelt upon the earth, which with much oppression. And it had the governance of the world more than all the wings that had been. And also this I beheld, and lo, the head that was in the midst suddenly appeared no more, like as the wings. But there remained the 2 heads, which also I like sort ruled upon the earth, and over those that dwelt therein. And I beheld, and lo, the head upon the right devoured it that was upon the left side. Then I heard a voice, which said unto me, Look before thee, and consider the thing that thou seest. And I beheld, and lo, as it were a roaring lion, chased out of the wood. And I saw that he sent out of a man's voice unto the eagle, and said, Hear thou, I will talk with thee, and the highest say unto thee, Art not thou it that remaineth of the 4 beasts, whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them? And the 4th came and overcame all of the beasts that were past, and had power over the world with great fearfulness, and over the whole compass of the earth with much wicked oppression. And so long time dwelt he upon the earth with deceit. For the earth hath thou not indulged with truth. For thou hast afflicted the meek, thou hast hurt the peaceable, thou hast loved liars, and destroyed the dwellings of them that brought forth fruit, and hast cast down the walls of such as did ye no harm. Thereof, if thou wrongfully dealings with, therefore, if thy wrongful dealings come up unto the highest, and thy pride unto the mighty, the highest also hath looked upon the proud times, and behold, they are ended, and his abominations are fulfilled. And therefore appear no more thou eagle, nor thy horrible wings, nor thy wicked feathers, nor thy malicious heads, nor thy hurtful claws, nor all thy vain body, that all the earth may be refreshed, and may return, being delivered from thy violence, that she may hope for the judgment and mercy of him that made her. And I'm gonna stop there, and next I'll pick up in chapter 12. And as always, I love you.